be here just in case you have questions. Okay, magpe-prepare lang din ako actually for clinic. Okay lang ba, class?
Yes, Doc.
Thank you. Sige. Wait lang. Pag natapos yung video, stay lang kayo. Okay, wait lang. Sorry. 38 minutes naman siya. Ay, wait. Sorry, hindi ko na-share yung sound. Sorry, hindi ko na ano yung sound na-share. Stop share. For doing this lecture asynchronously by recording. Okay, but if you have any questions, you can always message me, especially with regards to this topic. So my task for today is to talk about the female perineum. And these are my intended learning objectives. So at the end of the lecture, you should be able to understand specifically and more importantly, the external genitalia as well as the anterior triangle as to its location, boundaries, blood supplies, nerve supplies, lymphatic drainages, and of course, most common clinical correlations that we usually encounter with our patients. Okay, so also I will be giving you a brief overview of the posterior triangle, but because this part was already lectured to you by Dr. Bea, because of the male and the female's posterior triangle are basically the same. Okay, so when we talk about the perineum, it is actually the diamond area, imaginary diamond area in between the thighs of a patient in a dorsal lithotomy position. Okay, so the best way to examine a patient either by inspection or by doing internal examination is to place a patient in a dorsal lithotomy position. And by doing so, you will imagine the perineum as a diamond-shaped structure. Okay, and it is bounded anteriorly by the pubic symphysis, posteriorly by the ischiopubic rami, anterolaterally by the ischial tuberosities, posterolaterally by the sacrotuberous ligaments, and posteriorly by the coccyx. Okay, the pubic symphysis, the ischial tuberosities, and the coccyx are very important landmarks for us obstetrician and gynecologists, especially for a patient in labor. Okay, so let's now proceed with the external generative organs. Okay, when you say external generative organs, we are talking about the pudenda or the vulva. Okay, so all structures visible externally, which includes that of the mons pubis, the labia majora and minora, the clitoris, the hymen, the vestibule, also the urethral opening, and some of the various glandular and vascular structures. So generally, the blood supply of the perineum includes branches of internal and external pudendal arteries. The lymph drainage is that of the medial group of superficial inguinal nodes, and the nerve supplies to anteriorly and posteriorly. For the anterior part, it is the ilioinguinal nerves and the genital branch of the genitofemoral nerves. And posteriorly, it will be the posterior femoral cutaneous nerves. Okay, so let's talk about the specifics of those external features. Okay, number one is the mons pubis. This is actually visible for us girls when we are wearing, yung mga maninipis na clothing or yung masisikip na clothing. The mons pubis, also called the mons veneris, is a fat-filled cushion that lies over the symphysis pubis. The symphysis pubis is the bone, and directly above that will be subcutaneous layers, or what we call the mons pubis. Okay? To be able to differentiate a patient na adolescent or in puberty versus an adult woman is looking at the hair distribution. Okay, so for puberty or at puberty, it is covered by curly hair that forms the escutcheon. And for adult women, developed na syempre because of the maturity of the hypothalamic pituitary ovarian axis and the full effect of the hormones, it is already distributed in a triangular area. So the hair will form the base and the upper margin of the symphysis pubis. Next structure is that of labia majora. Okay, labia majora is 7 to 8 centimeter long, 2 to 3 centimeter wide, and 1 to 1.5 centimeter thick. Okay, so it is where the round ligaments terminate. It is the upper border. Okay, now if you're going to recall the different ligaments discussed to you by Dr. Javier in female pelvic organs, it is the round ligament, only the round ligament that terminates into the labia majora. Okay, the outer surface of this labia majora with hair, while the inner surface is without hair. Now, how are you going to differentiate the labia majora of a patient who already delivered vaginally versus a patient na hindi pa nanganganak, or those children or women who have not yet delivered to a fetus, okay, or a baby? So you're going to look at it by their close proximity, the two labias and the position of these two labias. Okay, so for children and nulliparous women, nulliparous meaning hindi pa nanganganak, okay, it is closely together or close opposition. But for multiparous women, it gapes widely because this structure is filled with elastic fibers. Okay, so para siyang rubber band. Kapag na-stretch, syempre, nagle-lessen yung elasticity niya. Okay, also, this labia majora is rich with venous plexuses, which may develop varicosities during pregnancy, especially for multiparous. Okay, because in multiparous, yung frequent na pregnancies causing frequent obstruction of the lymphatic drainage, okay, or the venous drainage sa lower extremities causes to develop varicosities. That's why minsan mahirap silang gawan ng episiotomy. When you say episiotomy, it is the incision in the median body of the perineal body, okay, to hasten the delivery of the fetus. Okay, so kasi ang problem dyan is kapag the varicosities, if you can see the moving arrow, are in this area. Okay, so mahirap gumipit. Okay, mahirap siyang i-incise because it would be very bloody. Okay, next we have the labia minora, okay, which is as compared to your labia majora, do not contain hairs and they are mas manipis or more thin, moist and reddish, almost similar to the appearance of a mucous membrane. Okay, it is also extremely sensitive because it is supplied with many nerve endings. Okay, so what would be the structure of this labia minora? It has two lamellae superiorly. The lower pair forms the frenulum of the clitoris. This one is the clitoris. Okay, and the upper pair will form the prepuce of the clitoris. Okay, and inferiorly going down, again, if you can see the moving arrow, that will be your foreshae. Okay, this one is the perineal body. This one is the anus. Okay, why I'm saying that? Because again, the perineal body is where we usually assess before we do episiotomy. Okay, so the superior portion of the perineal body will be the foreshae. Okay, next we have the clitoris, which is the principal female erogenous organ and corresponds to the penis in male. So it rarely exceeds 2 centimeter in length and covered by a stratified squamous epithelium that is richly supplied with nerve endings. Okay, the blood supplies of the clitoris includes that of the branches of internal pudendal artery, deep artery of the clitoris which supplies the clitoral body, and dorsal artery of the clitoris which supplies the glands and prepuce. Okay, so speaking of the parts of the clitoris, we have number 1, root of the clitoris, which has 3 masses of erectile tissues. 1 bulb of the vestibule, which is attached to the undersurface of the urogenital diaphragm and covered by bulbus spongiosus muscle. The other one is 2 cruras, okay, right and left crura, as you can see in this picture, okay, which becomes corpora cavernosa anteriorly and is covered by your ischiocavernosus muscle. So those are the erectile tissues of the clitoris, which form part of the root of the clitoris. Okay, so again, this one will be the glands of the clitoris, the body, and then the crus of the clitoris, as you can see there. Okay, and the different muscles associated also with the contraction of the clitoris. Okay, so sorry for the slides. Next, we have the body and glands of the clitoris. The body is composed of 2 corpora cavernosa covered by the ischiocavernosus muscle, and the glands will cap the body of the clitoris, which provides with numerous sensory endings. Okay. Next, we have the vestibule, which is from the embryonic urogenital diaphragm. So it is almond in shape, and it is bounded laterally by the heart line, medially by the external surface of the hymen, anteriorly by the frenulum, and posteriorly by the foreshae, as you can see here. So what is within that vestibule? You have the 6 openings. The 6 openings will include that of the urethra, the vagina, the ducts of the Bartholin's gland, and the ducts of the paraurethral glands or the Skin's gland, as you can see here. Okay, this one will be the Bartholin's gland. So let us talk about the Bartholin's gland, which is very easy to identify because the ducts is opening into the distal hymenal ring, and that will be at the 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock position. Okay, so whenever you see 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock position and talking about the pudenda, then maybe and most likely you are talking about the Bartholin's gland duct. Okay, it is also called the greater vestibular glands, about 0.5 to 1 centimeter in diameter, and lies inferior to the vestibular bulbs and deep to the inferior ends of the bulbocavernosus muscle. Okay, so this Bartholin's gland is actually responsible for the secretion of your mucus secretion, okay, for facilitating in sexual contact, as well as also for prevention of infection, because you don't want that vaginal area to be dry. Okay, so what would be the clinical significance of this Bartholin's gland? Okay, so following trauma or infection, the either duct or gland may swell and obstruct to form a cyst. This cyst, because of course, frequent trauma again, will become infected and eventually become an abscess. Okay, so as you can see in this picture, encircled is an example of a Bartholin cyst. Okay, for you to be able to identify really that this is the duct of the Bartholin's gland, you have to do internal examination because you would want to know where the peduncle or yung tangkay is coming from. Okay, because this could be a possible vulvar lipoma or any other masses in that area. So for you to be able to identify, it has to come from the 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock position of the vulva. Okay? Making the vulva as a phase clock. Okay? Next, we have the minor vestibular gland, which are actually shallow glands, which will also secrete mucin secreting epithelium to aid in, again, sexual contact, okay, to prevent dyspareunia or painful sexual contact. Okay, next we have paraurethral glands, which are collective arborization of numerous small glands located at the inferior aspect of the urethra. Okay, the largest would be the Skin's gland or the major vestibular glands, okay, which lies distally and near the urethral meatus. Okay, so you don't mistake it as the Bartholin's gland because of the location. As you can see in this picture, you have here the Bartholin's gland, and then also you have the Skin's gland at this area. Okay, so if you're going to look at it, it is more commonly seen sa mga bata, okay, as compared to your Bartholin's gland na mas common sa adults. Okay, sa mga bata, it usually develops into a urethral diverticulum. Okay, so as you can see here, you have here the cyst. Okay, you'll be able to identify it clearer if you insert Foley catheter kasi maliit lang ang structure ng mga bata, di ba? So it will be very hard for you to identify the urethral diverticulum versus the urethra. Excuse me. So you have to put Foley catheter as you can see here. So this is not an actual patient. I just took this from Google Images. Okay. Next, we have the hymen, which is a membrane of varying thickness surrounding the vaginal opening. This hymen is made purely or primarily with elastic and collagenous connective tissue, which is again very important so that there will be easy delivery of the fetal head. Okay, it is covered by stratified squamous epithelium. Okay, usual concern sa hymen is you know that the person or a patient is virgin based on the hymen, but actually identical tears may occur other than penetration. Okay, ibig sabihin baka yung mga activities nila like a gymnast or mga biking. Okay, because remember that this hymen is very thin membrane. So madali talaga siyang mapunit, not just by sexual contact. Okay, these edges of torn hymen will soon reepithelize to form hymenal caruncle. This hymenal caruncle will tell you if this hymen is perforated already or damaged already. Kasi yun yung nagiging itsura niya. Nag-iiba yung itsura niya. Para siyang merong skin tag doon sa posterior vaginal wall. Ganun yung itsura ng isang hymenal caruncle. Okay? Most common that we see is this imperforate hymen. It is a rare lesion but actually ang dami ng patients na nagko-complain ng that kind of abnormality. Ang usually complain nila is absence of menses. Okay? Kunyari, 14 years old na sila, 13 years old na, tapos yung nanay sinasabi na hindi pa nagre-regla yung anak, it is secondary to imperforate hymen most likely, lalo na if it's associated with the usual secondary sexual characteristics that we see, and then meron din siyang breast pain and a violaceous bulging mass every time or every time of the month. Okay, so yun yung usual complaint nila. So on inspection, makikita nyo walang butas, imperforate. So what we usually do is just make an incision, but also try to rule out any other accompanying abnormalities. May ovaries ba yan? Meron ba yung uterus? Kasi baka naman kaya imperforate is absent din ng uterus at absent din ng ovaries. Okay, but mostly ang nakikita namin would be sole entity of an imperforate hymen without any other associated abnormalities. Okay, now let's talk about your anterior triangle. So if you're going to again look at the perineum, you can imagine it as a diamond shape. So two triangles with different bases, meaning different measurement ng bases, because the posterior triangle, as you can see here, or the anal triangle, has a wider base as compared to your anterior triangle or urogenital triangle. So these triangles are being divided by the ischial tuberosities, as you can see here in this inset picture. Okay, so let's talk about the anterior triangle or the urogenital triangle. This anterior triangle is further subdivided into a superficial space and deep space. The superficial space is a closed compartment, while the deep space is continuous superiorly with the pelvic cavity. Okay, what would be the clinical correlation of this continuous superiorly with the pelvic cavity? For infections affecting the vulva, okay, kahit ba hematoma pa yan sa episiotomy site, if napabayaan, it can go up, it can ascend into the pelvic area because, again, of this deep space, which is continuous superiorly. Okay, so this anterior triangle is also being bounded superiorly by the pubic rami, laterally by the ischial tuberosities, and posteriorly by the superficial transverse perineal muscle, as you can see here. Okay, this one will be your superficial transverse perineal muscle. Okay, so looking at this picture, you'll be able to appreciate the different muscle structures as well as the subcutaneous fat that is included in the superficial and the deep space. Okay, majority of the muscles involved in your anterior triangle will be the ischiocavernosus and bulbospongiosus muscles. Okay, so once you open up, so from the skin, when you flap it open, you'll be able to appreciate subcutaneous tissues, which is divided, like in your anterior abdominal wall, into a superficial fatty layer or Camper's fascia and deep membranous layer. Pagdating sa perineum, Colles fascia na siya. So it comes from the Scarpa's fascia of the anterior abdominal wall. Okay, the superficial fatty layer or the Camper's fascia is continuous with the fat of the ischiorectal fossa and superficial fascia of the thighs. So in the labia, on the other hand, it is replaced by a very thin layer of involuntary muscle. The deep membranous layer or the Scarpa's coming from the anterior abdominal wall to become Colles is anteriorly inserted into the Scarpa's fascia and posteriorly into the urogenital diaphragm and laterally into the pubic arc. Okay, so that will be your superficial perineal fascia. Also, you have this what you call the superficial perineal pouch, okay, which is between the deep layer of the Colles fascia and the perineal membrane. Okay, this is another reason kung bakit kapag may hematoma ka sa vulva or sa vagina or may infection ka, pwede again umakyat at maapektuhan yung muscles mo naman this time. Because this superficial perineal pouch opens anteriorly between the scarpa and aponeurosis of external oblique. So if you have blood vessels na hindi na-ligate, pwedeng mag-pull yung blood dun sa pouch, and then since blood is a good medium for bacteria to thrive in, mag-infect and umakyat, okay, anteriorly into the anterior abdominal wall. Okay, now what would also be the content of this superficial perineal pouch? It contains the crus of the clitoris, the bulbs of the vestibule, the greater vestibular glands, the superficial perineal muscles, which includes that of the transverse perineal muscles, the ischiocavernosus, and as well as the bulbospongiosus muscles. Also, it contains nerve and vessels and the perineal body. Okay, now what would be the content of the superficial perineal pouch, specifically the bulbospongiosus, which reduces the size of the vaginal orifice and assists in the erection of the clitoris. So it compresses the deep dorsal vein of the clitoris. Another one will be your ischiocavernosus muscles, which also assist in the contraction and erection of the clitoris. The superficial transverse perineal muscle naman is very important to be able to fix the perineal body at the center of the perineum. Okay, ang kanyang origin will be the ischial ramus and the insertion will be the perineal body. Okay? Now, with regards to the perineal body, it is a fibromuscular pyramidal mass in the midline at the junction of the anterior and posterior triangle. Like what I've said, this is very important for us obstetrician and gynecologists because it is what we assess when we do episiotomy. And also, it provides significant perineal support, especially kapag nagde-deliver ang pasyente. Imagine a 4 to 5 kilo baby passing through that vaginal canal, diba? So, kailangan niya ng magandang perineal support to be able to expel that fetus, okay? So, it contains superficial muscles, which includes bulbus sponjosus, superficial transverse perineal, and external anal sphincter. And also deep muscles, which includes pubococcygeus muscles and internal anal sphincter. Okay? So, when we do episiotomy at nagkaroon ng laceration, we usually grade it based on the contents or on the structures involved. Okay, so we base it on the degree, second, third, and fourth degree, depending on the involvement of the superficial and deep structures. Okay, I will show that to you later. Okay, next, for the deep space of the anterior triangle, so deep, like what I've said, deep into the perineal membrane and extending superiorly to the pelvic cavity. Now, what will be the content? It contains the portion of the urethra and vagina, portions of the internal pudendal artery, and muscles of the striated urogenital sphincter complex. So that will be the component of your deep space ng anterior triangle. It also contains deep perineal pouch, which is holding the sphincter urethrae. So it surrounds the urethra in the deep perineal pouch, and also the deep transverse perineal muscle, which is clinically unimportant. Okay, but it is posterior to the sphincter urethrae. Okay? So another important component of this deep space is the pudendal nerve, which is formed by the anterior rami of S2 and S4. So this pudendal nerve is clinically important for us obstetricians when we want to do pudendal nerve block. Okay, this is a type of anesthesia, a local anesthesia that we give our patients who are in labor and who doesn't want regional anesthesia. So what we usually give is pudendal nerve block, a type of local anesthesia. So ang ina-anesthetize lang niya is the area of the perineum. Okay? So we need to know the course of this pudendal nerve so that hindi namin ma-hit directly. Ang gusto lang namin i-achieve is in-numb yung pudendal nerve. So the course of this pudendal nerve is between the piriformis and the coccygeus muscle and will exit through the greater sciatic foramen at a location posterior to the sacrospinous ligament and just medial to the ischial spine. Okay, this ischial spine is what we palpate when we do internal examination. This is what we assess kasi yan yung makakapa mo via internal examination sa posterior vaginal wall. Okay, so yan yung kakapain namin. And then we usually inject about 2 cm of lidocaine 2% to be able to numb that nerve. Because we know that 2 cm below that ischial spines, okay, nandyan magko-course through yung pudendal nerve. Okay, so it's very important for us to be able to identify the pudendal nerve. Okay, this pudendal nerve contains 3 terminal branches. The dorsal nerve of the clitoris, which will supply the skin of the clitoris, the perineal nerve, which will supply the muscles of the anterior triangle and the labial skin, and the inferior rectal nerve, which will supply the external anal sphincter and mucous membrane of the anal canal and the perineal skin. Okay? So this is what we call the pudendal nerve block. As you can see, we are doing internal examination and palpating for the ischial spines. Okay, so we make injection either by transvaginal method, meaning sa loob padadaanin yung needle, or by perineal method by feeling the ischial tuberosities. Okay, kasi in between the ischial spines and the ischial tuberosities will be the pudendal nerve. Okay? So next, we have the female urethra. Okay, the female urethra is clinically important for us because we would want to know kung saan siya nag-open up because any masses that involves the perineum can obstruct the female urethra. Okay, the female urethra is 1.5 inches long and extends from the neck of the bladder to the external meatus. Okay, so this is in continuation with the ureter. I know you already learned about the course of the ureter, which is very important. Okay, so the course of the ureter and then outside to become the female urethra. Okay, so it opens into the vestibule and traverses the sphincter and lies immediately in front of the vagina. Again, any masses involving the perineum and the vulva can obstruct this urethra, posing a possible secondary infection. Okay. So the posterior triangle, we have talked about this already with Dr. Bea. Basically, male and female posterior triangle are the same. The ischoanal fossa, the anal canal, the anal sphincter complex, which includes your internal anal, external anal, and puberectalis, and branches also of the pudendal nerve and internal pudendal vessels. Okay. So we'll now proceed with the clinical correlations. Okay, so in here, okay, we're going to talk only about the most common. Okay, so here you will be able to appreciate the entirety of the perineum as a diamond-shaped structure, together with the different nerves as well as the blood vessels, as you can see here, as well as the muscles. Okay, so hindi naman ganun kadami yung kailangan yung memorize and when it comes to the perineum. Okay, you just have to know the boundaries to be able to identify. Okay, lalo na when actual na cadaver na yung tinitingnan nyo kasi magkakamukha sila. Okay, so since malapit sa puso ko ito, dahil I am an obstetrician by practice, okay, we usually do episiotomy. Like what I have mentioned kanina, this episiotomy will help hasten the delivery of the fetal head. Okay, kasi minsan, pag masyadong malaki yung baby, okay, mahihirapan siyang lumabas if constricted this one. If you can see na moving arrow. Okay, there are two types of episiotomy. Okay, median episiotomy and then right mediolateral episiotomy. Ideally, okay, kasi mas maganda ang wound healing, mas maganda ang lesser ang blood vessel kasi mas thinned out siya, we do the median episiotomy. Okay? By assessing the perineal body. Okay? Kasi yung perineal body mismo yung kinakat namin. Okay? The perineal body is here. So it's in the inferior portion of the fauciae and then anteriorly in the rectum. Yan yung perineal body. That is what we assess. Now, if masyadong maliit yung perineal body, then we do right mediolateral episiotomy as you can see here. Kasi mas maraming area to cut through. Kasi dito, kung mapapansin nyo, rectum na agad. So pag nag-lacerate, ang kaisa-isang disadvantage ng median episiotomy is yung pwede mong malacerate yung rectum. Okay? Kaya dapat ma-assess mo talagang mabuti. Like this one. These are the degree of lacerations. Okay, again, depending on the involvement of the different structures, like that of the bulbocavernosus muscle, the transverse perineal muscle, and the internal anal sphincter. Pag may involvement na ng internal anal sphincter, then that will already be 4th degree. Okay, so as you can see, the membrane separating the posterior vaginal wall, if you can see the moving arrow, and the rectum is very thin only. Okay, so dapat yan, ma-repair nyo if may 4th degree laceration, layer by layer. Okay, because you don't want the feces coming out of the vagina kasi mali ka ng repair or may hindi ka na repair na layer. Or ayaw mo ring mag-infect. Okay, kasi pwedeng ma-infect ng feces yung suture pwedeng mag-release. Okay, so you have to be very careful. That's why we usually do rectal examination after repair of the episiotomy, okay, because we would want to rule out any strings coming out from here. Okay, so pag ni-rectal exam, mag-insert ka ng isang finger dito, if you can see the moving arrow, and feel for the strings, para kang kumakapa ng gitara. That's what we feel for. If meron, then you have to repeat it again kasi you don't want that string to be there and then ma-infect eventually. Kasi magre-release din yan. Okay? So, as you can see here in this picture, to be able to aid us on not injuring the membrane and going out of the rectal mucosa, while repairing, pwede mo ring i-insert yung finger mo dun sa rectum para maging guide mo. Pag natusok yung kamay mo, ibig sabihin, nasa rectal mucosa ka na, lagpas ka na actually. Okay, so this one is a catheter, this one is the urethra, this one is the anterior vaginal wall. Ito yung posterior vaginal wall. The hymenal ring is this one. Okay, yan yung dapat mapagdikit mo. And then layer by layer, dapat ma-repair mo din yan, especially for 4th degree lacerations. Okay? Next clinical correlation is vulvar hematoma. Okay, vulvar hematoma can be secondary to unrepaired blood vessel during episiotomy, or pwede rin namang because of precipitous labor, meaning masyadong mabilis lumabas yung baby. So, syempre, kumbaga nabangga siya ng fetal head ng mabilisan, so nag-form siya ng hematoma. Also, pwede ring straddle injury. Pag sinabi mong straddle injury, ibig sabihin, like for example, yung mga gymnast, nahulog dun sa beam, okay, pwede siyang magkaroon ng hematoma. Or yung mga equestrian, okay, yung mga ganong activities can lead to possible vulvar hematoma. Okay, so as you can see in this picture, this is a patient who delivered in a lying-in clinic. So hindi kasi pwedeng mag-repair ang mga midwives ng episiotomy or ng laceration. So kapag di nila ni-repair, yan, pwedeng magkaroon ng blood pooling. Okay, until such time na mag-form siya ng hematoma. It can go as high as a 1.5 liters blood loss kasi malalaki ang blood vessels sa area na yan kasi mataba yung area na yan. So, ganyan kalaki. Pwede silang mag-hypotension. Minsan yung mga pasyente, dadating sila hypotensive, anemic, palpatory just because of a simple vulvar hematoma. Okay, and again, like what I've mentioned, this hematoma can dissect and go up to this area. Okay, so this one are different types of hematoma depending on what was affected. Okay, so here you have a supralevator hematoma, here a vulvar hematoma, and this one an ischoanal fossa hematoma na pwedeng pumunta rin sa kabila at mag-infect din sa kabila. Okay, so Dr. ano ba usually yung ginagawa dyan? Of course, we have to look for the bleeding blood vessels or the blood vessels na hindi na-repair. Okay, so we usually do an incision not here, okay, hindi sa superficial aspect, but inside the vaginal wall. Okay, kaya kung ganyan nakalaki yung hematoma, medyo mahirap talaga siyang i-repair. Okay, so also pala, another risk factor for vulvar hematoma is postcoital laceration, meaning pag masyadong intense yung sexual contact, okay, or may ibang klaseng sexual activity, okay, so pwedeng mag-lacerate yung vaginal walls or even yung cervix and cause vaginal hematoma or vulvar hematoma. Okay, so we usually release the blood. So, i-open namin yan, tatanggalin namin lahat ng blood clots, and hopefully see the blood vessels na affected. And then we repair the blood vessel. We tie the blood vessel and then repair again layer by layer, making sure na walang naka-release na blood vessel. Yun naman ang importante, ligatures of the blood vessels. Okay, so I think that would be all for this topic. Again, my apologies for doing this asynchronously, but I do hope you were able to understand female perineum. So if you have any questions, you can always message me via Telegram or via Moodle. So thank you again and good luck on your exams. Please do stay safe and stay sane. Thank you. Okay, class. Do you have any questions with regards to female perineum? Ay, wait. Naririnig niyo ba ako? Class, can you hear me? Okay. So do you have any questions, class? With regards to female perineum?
No questions po.
Wala naman questions. Okay, so I did not go through the posterior triangle because Dr. Bea has already discussed it. Pareho lang naman sila basically. Okay, so mostly since you are in your first year, most questions will be recall type, okay, but you also have some questions on problem solving and analysis, okay? So please, when you look into the questions, basahin yung mabuti, lalo na kapag problem solving and analysis, yung stem ng questions. Okay, like for example, sa female pelvic organs, kunwari ang dinedirect niyang problem is ectopic pregnancy. You already know what an ectopic pregnancy is, di ba? Outside the uterus, spotting or bleeding, amenorrhea or no menses, at saka positive pregnancy test. Those are triads of your ectopic pregnancy. Pero syempre, anatomical lang tanong nila. So pagka ganun, ang pwedeng possible would be, what would be the most common part or most common location do you expect this ectopic pregnancy to occur? Kasi syempre anatomic yung kanyang approach. Or with regards kunyari sa female perineum naman, patient came in with a complaint of a 3x3 cm mass on her vulva. Okay? Tapos on internal examination, there was a note of a 3x3 cm mass at the 5 o'clock position, non-fluctuant, non-tender, yung ganyan. Okay? So, pwedeng itanong, what organ or what duct do you expect to see in this area? Or what duct is most likely affected? Parang ganyan. Duct of Bartholin's gland, duct of paraurethral gland, urethra, yung mga ganyan. Okay? So, what else? So, you always just have to look into the stem of the question. You have enough time. So, please don't, pagka parang may nakita kayong familiar words dun sa questions, wag niyong i-associate agad sa kung ano yung alam nyo. Because when you look into problem solving and analysis, what they want you to do is to really correlate the theoretical aspect with clinical correlations, okay, or with clinical entities. Okay, so you really have to look into it. Okay, kasi minsan ang nagiging problem, what we observe is kapag may nakita kayong familiar word, kasi yun yung na ano sa mga brain cells nyo, yun yung naiwan, kumbaga, kunyari humabol kayo ng aral, yun yung last yung nakita, minsan nasa utak nyo lang siya. So kapag nakita nyo yung word na yun, ina-associate nyo na yun yung sagot. So, but when you look into problem solving and analysis, you really have to really look at the whole picture, whole sentences, whole statement, okay? Pag recall type, ang problem with that is kapag hindi nyo alam yung sagot, hindi nyo talaga nabasa, hindi nyo talaga mahuhulaan yung sagot. Okay, yun naman ang problem sa recall. Kapag ka kasi problem solving tsaka analysis, medyo you have clues kahit papano in the statement. Okay, so anyway, at unless you have questions with regards to even female pelvic organs, since we know that Dr. Javier is an ENT, baka may mga clinical disease entity kayo na gustong itanong regarding female pelvic organs or female perineum, then you can ask me because, you know, sa aming dalawa, ako yung OB. So, mas masasagot ko. Okay, kaya rin naman sagutin ni Doktora, pero pagdating sa disease entity, syempre medyo, Ako naman pag ears at saka nose, hindi ko masasagot. Si doktor ang sasagot. Okay? Wala?
None.
None? Okay. So if there are no more questions, check ko yung